हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। वीर हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। प्रभु मन बसिया रे, प्रभु मन बसिया रे। हे 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 प्रभु मन बसिया रे, हे प्रभु मन बसिया रे। वीर हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की। 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 वीर हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। सीताराम जय सीताराम, राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम। 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 जय सीताराम, राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम। वीर हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। हे प्रभु मन बसिया रे, प्रभु मन बसिया रे। वीर हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की। 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 वीर हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। सीताराम जय सीताराम, राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम। सीताराम जय सीताराम, राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम। राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम। सीताराम जय सीताराम, 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 राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम। जय सीताराम, राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम। हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। वीर हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। हनुमान अति बलवाना, राम नाम रसिया रे। प्रभु मन बसिया रे।
Oh. Om Shri Sai Ram. Welcome to yet another session of Region 10's Inspirational Channel. This evening, we are privileged to have one of our own region's center officers, Brother Freddy Perez. He is a vice president at the South Houston Psi Center. Brother Freddy is a Venezuelan-born economist, and he has been blessed to be born into a Sai family that has had a connection with our Bhagavan for over 50 years through the devotion of his great-grandmother, grandmother, as well as his mother. So because of his lifelong association with Swami, whom he has accepted as his guide and guru and God, Brother Freddy has been involved with innumerable, countless devotional as well as service activities from a very young age. And because of this, he has been also blessed by Swami to serve in the Sai organization at the center level, at the regional level, and even at the national level, not just in one country, but in 3 different countries: Venezuela, Panama, and now in the US. In 2021, Brother Freddy had the unique honor of graduating from the Sri Satya Sai Global Leadership Program. So now, as I mentioned, he lives with his beautiful family in South Houston and serves as the vice president of South Houston Psi Center. Like you, I am very excited to hear about his experiences, his journey in the Sai fold, and what lessons he has been taught by Swami in his personal life, in his professional life, and also in the organization as an officer, how he is upholding the teachings of Swami, what he has learned and how he's practicing and how he's applying them. So, Brother Freddy, welcome. And I'm now going to join with the rest of the audience who have joined this evening session to listen to your experiences. Thank you for joining us. Sai Ram.
Om Sri Sai Ram. I offer my most humble pranams to the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Thank you, everyone. Om Sri Sai Ram. Thank you, Sister Vijayasri. It's an honor to participate on such an amazing experience. So I'm so grateful, and I give thanks to Swami for this amazing opportunity. Before to start, I would like to mention about my presentation. It is divided in 6 sections. The first one will be beginning the Sai path, a home rooted in values. The second one should be about Swami's measures on Dharma. Then will be life experience as a living expression of Dharma. Then Dharma has a continuous practice. Then serving the Sai organization, a direct path to Dharma. And finishing with my conclusion, righteousness as a path to Swami. Say that, so I would like to start talking about my experience, about the beginning of this Sai path. Dear brothers and sisters, speaking of the beginning of the Sai path is not merely recounting a spiritual timeline, but sharing the birth of a devotional soul in an atmosphere filled with love, righteousness, and living example. For if Dharma is the righteous path, then the home is the first temple where we learn to walk that path. Swami has told us many times that the mother is the first guru, the first spiritual teacher, not through her words, but through her example. My mother never sat me down to explain the scripture nor imposed rituals on me. Her teachings was silent, constant, and alive. She began each day by lighting a candle before Swami's image, with recitation of prayers in a soft voice, with sincere devotion. Bhajans were the soundtrack of our daily life. Even while cooking or cleaning, her heart sang to God. My mother taught me that spirituality is not something we do out of obligation, nor something reserved for sainted places. It does not depend on the calendar or clock. It is a way of living, of responding with sweetness in the midst of chaos, of forgiving before judging, of giving before demanding. She was my first encounter with Dharma. That balance between what we think, what we say, and what we do. My father, on the other hand, embodied another facet of Dharma: justice, discipline, and unwavering integrity. As a mathematics and physics teacher, he was demanding yet fair. I remember watching him grade exams for hours, fully focused, showing no favoritism. If a study needed help, he offered it. If he had to correct, he did so with calm and respect. He never yielded, never humiliated. He was firm, but always respectful. Through him, I learned that Dharma is not only devotion, it is fulfilling your duties with excellence, honesty, and equanimity. In his conduct, I saw reflect Swami teaching: duty is God, work is worship. From a young age, Swami was part of our daily life. His photo presided over our dining room. His discourses were heard every single Sunday. His books filled our shelves. But more than anything, his presence was internal. We felt him close during difficult moments, like a grandfather who watches over everything, like a fountain of limitless love. And it is important to highlight something. I was never forced to believe in him. No one ever said, "You have to love Swami." His presence at home was so natural, so sweet, so inspiring, that loving him was inevitable. Spirituality was never imposed. It blossomed. At 16, when I finished high school, I made a conscious decision to start attending the Sai Center of Sabana Grande in Caracas, Venezuela, my original country. Not as the son of devotees, but as a young seeker, spiritually hungry, eager to serve, yearning to know God. I remember my first bhajan playing the cymbals, nervous, but joyful. Then came the first thoughts, the first responsibilities, the first mistakes as well. But through it all, I felt Swami holding my hand, telling me, "Keep going, you are not alone." It was there, in that center, that I understood the sacred gift of the spiritual family. That each devotee you meet reflects something within yourself. That the Sai Center is not a meeting room. It is a school for the soul. Every single activity was a living lesson in Dharma. At the Science Center, I learned a great truth. There are no small roles, no insignificant services. Placing a chair, distributing flowers, reading a message, preparing refreshments, everything, if done with love, is Dharma in action. Every gesture can be an offering to Swami, if done with humility and devotion. Swami said, do not seek God in the extraordinary. Find him in the ordinary done with love. The mother is the first teacher, and the home is the first school. If the family environment is saturated with love, righteousness, and spirituality, the child will grow to be a true devotee of God. Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. When we hear the word Dharma, our minds often associate it with law, duty, religion, or even a rigid set of rules. But when Swami speaks to us about Dharma, he invites us to go far beyond academic definitions. He called us to awaken to a truth that is profound, eternal, and above all, experimental. Dharma is love in action. Dharma is to act with love. Dharma harms no one. Dharma is that which benefits the greatest number. Dharma protects those who protect it. These words are not just a beautiful teaching. They are a spiritual compass, a light that guides us through confusion, dilemmas, and the difficult decisions of daily life. Because if there is one trait that defines Dharma, according to Swami, it is wisdom to adapt without ever losing its essence. Swami reminds us that Dharma is not a rule imposed from the outside. It does not originate from external authority, nor is it confined to religious texts. True Dharma arises from within, from the heart aligned with the divine consciousness. Dharma is not about blind obedience. It is not about rituals or external conformity. Dharma is love that expresses itself as righteousness, as justice, as truth in action. When we act from love, when we think of others' well-being, when we protect life, when we respect all as children of God, then we are acting in alignment with Dharma. This is why Swami says Dharma is not just doing what is right. It is doing it at the right time, in the right way, with the right intention, and for the right reason. Dharma is harmonious dance between action and intention. Swami does not hand us a rigid manuals of rules because he knows that life is full of nuances. Dharma is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides behind complex choices. Should I speak the truth that may wound, or stay silent or protect? Should I correct with firmness or embrace with tenderness? Truth, Dharma demands discernment, which in Sanskrit is viveka. This discernment is sharpened through prayer, meditation, study, of divine teachings, and most of all, constant self-observation. Follow the master, face the devil, fight to the end, finish the game. That is said by Satya Sai Baba. The master here is our higher conscience, our connection to the divine soul. That quiet inner voice that tells us when something is aligned with truth and when it is not. That inner compass we all carry within. Swami was very clear. Dharma is not static or unchanging in its outer form. It evolves according to the role we play, the era we live in, our culture, moment in life, and geographical context. Dharma changes according to time and circumstance, but its essence never changes. Its core is always do good, avoid evil, and see the divine in all. The Dharma of a student is not the same as that of a parent or a spiritual leader. A doctor's Dharma is to heal with compassion. A teacher's Dharma is to educate with patience and love. A devotee's Dharma is to serve with humility. Here lies one of Swami's most revolutionary teachings. There is no Dharma without God consciousness. If we act disconnected from the divine principle that dwells are all beings, no matter how many rules we follow, we are not living true Dharma. Because Dharma is not mechanical, it is living, it is dynamic and spiritual. Swami taught us that the practice of Dharma transforms the individual, and through the individual transforms society. When we act with righteousness, we not only create outer harmony, we purify our own hearts. The ego dissolves, peace enters, the mind calms, the soul expands. Righteousness is the foundation of peace in the individual, the family, the society, and the world. Without Dharma, there is no Shanti. This teaching is as urgent today as it was in ancient times. In a world often driven by self-interest, ambition, and fear, Dharma becomes an act of courage. To speak the truth, to be just, to remain honest, to show compassion. This is revolutionary in a world that has lost its moral compass. Swami also teaches the balance between Swadharma, personal duty, and Sanatana Dharma, the eternal law. Swadharma refers to our individual responsibilities, our roles as sons or daughters, parents, employees, citizens. Sanatana Dharma refers to the universal code that never changes. Do not harm, love all, serve all, see God in all. Sometimes it may seem like there's a conflict between the two. A professional duty may demand detachment that feels at odds with spiritual compassion. But Swami teaches to unite both worlds, to uplift our personal roles to a divine plane. It is not about renouncing the world. It is about spiritualizing every role we play. Shares a powerful truth. Dharma rakshati rakshitataha. Dharma protects those who protect it. This is not a metaphor. It is a spiritual law. When we choose to act from truth, from justice, from love, we can remain at peace, even if the external results are uncertain. Life may test our faith, but Dharma gives us inner strength. Dharma holds us steady in times of chaos. It brings clarity in darkness. And thought acting with integrity may seem risky in this world. It actually shields us with divine grace. Swami has said, if you take care of Dharma, I will take care of you. Finally, Swami reminds us, Dharma is not something to be preached. It must be lived. It doesn't matter how many talks we give, how many books we read, or how many bhajans we sing. If there is no love in our hearts, if our actions don't reflect that love, we are far from Dharma. To live Dharma doesn't mean to be perfect. It means to be authentic, aware, compassionate. It means to be brave enough to do what is right, even when it is hard. It means to learn from our mistakes and to keep growing. Every small step toward righteousness brings us closer to Swami. Dharma is not an ancient word. It's a present call. It is Swami's voice within you, gently whispering, be love, be truth, be righteous, be me. Talking about experiences as expression of Dharma, I would like to speak about several things. Speaking about Dharma may seem easy when we remain on the theoretical plane. We can quote secret texts, repeat Swami's powerful sayings, and even recite proper definitions. But living Dharma is a daily experience, tested at every moment, especially when no one is watching, when the decisions are silent, private, and internal. It is there that Dharma ceases to be a concept and becomes a living force that guides our thoughts, words, and actions. I remember clearly my university years. It was a very diverse environment where people of different beliefs, cultures, and worldviews came together. There were agnostics, devout Catholics, Muslims, evangelical Christians, spiritual seekers, and also those who believed in nothing beyond what was visible. In that space, my faith was tested, but also deepened. Not because anyone attacked it, but because I learned a fundamental lesson. It was, Dharma is not to impose, it is to respect. Dharma is not to judge, it is to understand. Dharma is not to convince, it is to live with coherence. That is where I began to understand what Swami always says. Love is my form, truth is my breath, Dharma is my conduct. My Dharma as a student was not to convert anyone, nor to defend my faith like a political ideology. My Dharma was to see God everywhere, in everyone, even if he was called by another name or not believe it at all. And that allowed me to form deep bonds with people who thought they didn't share my beliefs felt the truth in my actions. Because when one acts with purity of heart, the soul of the other recognizes it. It doesn't matter in the language, the religion, or the culture. Soul speak to soul. From the academic world into the professional world was a second awakening. I entered the banking sector, a highly competitive, hierarchical, and tempting environment. Banking deals with money, and money awakens very human passions. Ambition, greed, power, the desire for recognition. There, Dharma changed in form, but not in essence. It was no longer about learning, but about acting with integrity, even if it meant sacrificing promotions or personal gain. I had many chances to take so-called shortcuts, decisions that seem small, signing without reading, turning a blind eye, staying silent about an irregularity, protecting someone with influence. But Swami had formed me with a different code. He said, do what is right, even if you are alone. Do not act to please the world. Act to please your conscience. And that is what I did. Without having to say I was a devotee, without placing photos on my desk or talking about spirituality, my life had to be my message. And it was. Some colleagues began to notice something different. They say things like, you are not like the others. With you, one feels at ease. If you review it, I don't need to check it again. That for me was the highest recognition because it meant that lived Dharma is perceived, transmitted, and embodied. If Dharma is forgetting daily life, it is tested in suffering. Losing my father was an immense blow. Anyone who has lost a loved one knows there are no words to ease that emptiness. And shortly after, I also lost my job. It was a dark period, full of uncertainty and fear. I felt directionless. In that moment, Dharma became silence, resistance, blind faith. There were no answers, no logic. Only one flame remained. The certainty that Swami knew what he was doing. It was then that I understood Dharma doesn't always bring visible rewards or immediate results. Sometimes it simply holds you from within. It keeps you on standing when everything else collapses. Dharma became an inner force that sustained me when I had nothing else left to hold on to. And here lies something very deep I understood through my experience. Dharma does not always manifest through action. Sometimes it manifests through attitude. I could no longer act as an employee because I had no job. I could no longer serve as a son because I no longer had my father. But I could still act with dignity, keep my faith, and trust in the divine process. And thanks to that inner support, life slowly began to realign. Family became my shelter. The Sai organization helped me with love. And obviously, Swami, silent yet present, began to open new doors. One of the most common mistakes we make when speaking of spirituality is believing that Dharma is something that only comes into play during the big moment of life. A difficult decision, a clear injustice, a moral crisis. But if there is one thing Swami has taught us clearly, it is this. Dharma is not an emergency switch. It is a way of life. It is not a robe we wear when problems arise. It is the very skin of our character. Swami expresses it powerfully. Living Dharma. Dharma is not only for great occasions. It is for every word, every glance, every gestures, every choice, every thought. And this transforms how we perceive our daily lives. Because the true battle of Dharma is not only in the visible decisions, but in what no one sees. A sign of impatience towards someone, a look of contempt, a lie that hurts no one, a comment with double meaning, a task done half-heartedly. All of this is part of the silent examination that Dharma presents us with at every moment. And most of the time, there are no external witnesses, only ourselves and our consciousness. Swami invites us to live with mindful awareness, with inner vigilance, with a kind of silent humility that constantly asks, what I'm thinking, saying, or doing, it is aligned with love, with truth, with peace, with Dharma? Vedanta summarizes it in a practice that is simple yet powerful. What did I do today? Whom did I help? Whom did I hurt? Where did I act from ego? This is not about judging or punishing ourselves, but about fine-tuning the instrument of our conscience, about cleansing the mirror of the soul so that Swami reflections becomes clearer within us. This self-inquiry must not come from fear, but from a genuine journey to growth, to move closer to our divine essence. Because Swami does not expect perfection. He expects sincerity. A sincere heart that stumbles is better than a proud heart that pretends. Swami was very clear when he said, you cannot call yourself a devotee if your conduct does not reflect the values. Devotion without righteousness is hypocrisy. That statement lays us bare. It reminds us that spirituality is not measured by how many songs we sing, how often we go to the center, or how many pictures of Swami decorate our walls. Spirituality is measured by how we treat our spouse, our children, our co-workers, strangers, and even those we don't get along with. Dharma manifests in every role we play. As a husband, being just, present, loving, and understanding, not just a provider. As a father, not only educating, but being a living example of values we speak. As a side worker, not seeking recognition, but cultivating humility, selfless service, and obedience to the group and the mission. as a professional, resisting corruption, working with ethics, being honest, even when no one is watching. Swami has given us a clear compass. Dharma never harms, never humiliates, never betrays the truth. And although following it may sometimes mean losing an opportunity, staying silent in the face of injustice, walking alone, or paying a price, that price is always paid by the ego, never by the soul. Because the soul blossoms when it lives in Dharma, and Swami take care of the rest. When one begins to live with this awareness, Dharma no longer feels like a heavy obligation. It becomes a faithful companion, an inner compass that guides us through every situation. Sometimes that voice is firm. Don't do that. Sometimes it's a gentle. Wait. Trust. And often it's a direct. Do what is right, even if it hurts. That is Swami's voice. He does not shoot from the outside. He whispers from within. He walks with us like a silent friend who reminds us that true victory is not when the world applauds, but when conscience blesses. To live Dharma as a continuous practice is to understand that every moment is sacred. That no action is too small when it is full of truth. That even silence can communicate values. It is to live as if every step were an offering, as if every word were heard by Swami, as if every act were building the temple of our character. And when we live this way, Dharma stops being a theory. It becomes a way of life, an invisible melody that brings harmony to all. And only then can we say, with humility and without pride, I don't need to say I am a devotee. My life speaks for me. Because in the end, Dharma is not a destination. It is the path. And if we walk with righteousness, with love, with humility, and with faith, Swami will take care of guiding us to the right destination. Now I would like to talk about serving inside your organization as a direct path to Dharma. To serve Swami is not a burden, nor an obligation, nor a mere formality. To serve Swami is a gift. A gift that, if received with awareness and gratitude, becomes a direct path toward the transformation of the soul. I've had the privilege of serving in various roles within the Sai organization, as a musician, as a facilitator, as a treasurer, a youth coordinator, and now as a vice president. And if there is one thing I've learned through all these years, it is this. Every act of service, no matter how small or large it may seem, is a tool that Swami used to shape our character. Yes, there have been moments of physical exhaustion, conflicting ideas, and internal doubts. There have been moments when I asked myself, is all this effort really worth it? And in those very moments, miracles will appear. Timely words, eyes shining with gratitude, unexpected acts of love, like a direct caress from Swami to the heart. It is in that contrast between struggle and grace that one realizes. This path was not created by us. This path was carved by him, and every step is under his loving gaze. The organization is a laboratory for the soul. Serving in the Sai organization is much more than attending meetings or leading activities. It's a spiritual laboratory. Here, the ego comes face to face with other egos. Our ideas meet with opposing ideas. Our beliefs are tested. And there, in that crossing of perspectives, Swami acts as the divine goldsmith. He carves us, he polishes, he molds us. Sometimes with tenderness, sometimes with intensity, but always with love. Swami said, selfless service is the most direct path to God. And we see it every day in the simple things. Preparing an event, attending to an elder, cleaning a hall, singing with devotion, listening to a brother or sister without judgment. All of this, when done without seeking recognition, becomes sadhana, an authentic spiritual practice. And what greater act of Dharma could there be than serving the very avatar by serving his devotees? Once this is understood, service stops being a role-based duty and becomes a heartfelt offering. Because in every role we take on within the organization, Swami is gentle saying, I want to help you grow. I want to show you where ego still hides. I want you to discover the power of humility, the beauty of patience, the strength of unconditional love. Of course, the challenge is not to get sidetracked, not to fall into the traps of pride, control, or the I did this mindset. Dharma inside service manifests like this. No acting for prestige, but out for love. Not imposing, but listening deeply. Not competing to lead, but collaborating joyfully. Not chasing fast results, but nurturing sincere processes. Not saying, I am right, but asking, how can we grow together? When the Sai organization is lived from a space of Dharma, it becomes something truly special. It becomes an ashram without walls, an invisible temple where the object of worship is not an image, but the collective effort to live Swami's values. Each meeting, each devotional song, each difficult conversation, each service day is part of that silent training that Swami gave us to strengthen us, refine us, and bringing us one step closer to self-realization. And so, what once seemed like a responsibility becomes a blessing. What once seemed like a burden becomes a golden opportunity. What once seemed like a struggle becomes a dance with the divine. Because at the end of the day, when you serve with love, humility, and detachment, when you set ego aside and become an instrument, you realize it was never truly you who was serving. It was Swami serving through you. And that, dear brothers and sisters, is true realization. Dharma is the direct path to Swami. There are not shortcuts. It doesn't matter how many bhajans you sing, how many books you read, or how many times you travel to Puttaparthi. If you do not live in Dharma, you are far from Swami. True devotion is measured by character, in how you speak to your mother, in how you treat your husband or wife, in how you act at work, in how you respond to anger, in how you serve without seeking applause. Swami left us a legacy. My life is my message. Let your life be my message. That must be our guiding star. And it is not about being perfect. We all fall short. I have failed many times. I have to confess it. But Dharma does not demand perfection. It is asked for sincerity, effort, and humility. Let our entire life, our home, our family, our work, our service, our community become an altar, so that Swami may look upon us and say, that child of mine is sincerely trying to live in Dharma. I will uphold him. Om Shri Sai Ram. Jai Sai Ram. In that way, I finish my presentation. I hope it was an inspirational activity, and I offer all my humility to all of you. My sincere Jai Sai Ram. Loving Sai Ram to all of you, dear brothers and sisters.
Sai Ram. Thank you, Swami, for this wonderful, wonderful hour of listening to Brother Freddy. How much he has imbibed, internalized your teachings, starting with telling us how the home is the first temple and mother is the first teacher, right around Mother's Day celebration and Ishwaramba Day celebration. I think you have had such good role models in your family, starting with your great grandmother and grandmother and mother. And the Swami has really, really chosen you, and you have taken his teachings to heart, not just for yourself as an individual, but how to be from your student days, at work, and now serving in the community, serving Swami's organization. Each one of us that was listening to you today take back nuggets of Swami's words through your example. Thank you for doing that. I really, really enjoyed that. It's a Dharma is a harmonious dance between intention and action. It's not just our intention, but how we show it in action. Very beautifully done. Very, very beautifully done. I sincerely thank you for doing this for us this evening.
Thanks to
Sai
you, dear sister. Jai Sai Ram. Om Shri Sai Ram. Swami bless you all.
Ram. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
So this brings us to the end of today's session. And as you know, the first quarter of this year, we had speakers expound on Swami's core teaching, the truth, Satya. And we are in the second quarter now. This is a second out of three talks. The topic has been Dharma. So we will wrap up the third and final Dharma session for second quarter next month on the 4th of June, the first Wednesday as usual. It will be Brother Madhav Srimad from Austin Sai Center who will be joining us. And so I look forward to all of you joining us again so we can be on this journey, listen to these inspirational speakers, and get inspired. So that is for next month. These are also very, very exciting times. I'm sure each of you in your own centers have been celebrating the Aradhana Day blissfully and Mother's Day, either last weekend or this coming weekend, Ishwaramba Day, in a very grand fashion. And the next big program, of course, will be Guru Purnima in July, on July 10th, followed immediately by the most exciting, the very first National Conference and Children's Festival to celebrate Swami's life and mission. It's going to be right here in Dallas from the 11th to the 13th of July. I'm sure you all have been getting intimation through emails and other announcements at the center level, emails as well. So I request all of you humbly, please go ahead and register at your earliest convenience because it helps the organizers to plan. Most exciting activities are being planned for the children as well as all the adults. So it is 2.5 days of continuous bliss to, be in the presence of Swami. So I encourage each and every one of you, please go ahead and register at your very earliest convenience. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out to the center officers who can guide you. And then following that would be our regional retreat. So starting, right now, we are continuously celebrating this year's Swami's 100th year of his advent. So it's a full year of celebrations, and we look forward to celebrating with each and every one of you. So we will conclude this session with Om Shanti. Okay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, Swami.